Judging by the day for night lighting, it's right around dusk. Police are chasing someone down the street.
Stop him!
We'll learn that they aren't actually police. They're a private security outfit, and the guy in the suit is the boss. Whatever they are, the guy they're chasing is better because they can't catch him.
Scanner. Hide.
He's out cold. Good opportunity for the little people to make themselves scarce.
Help! I'm caught!
Or not. The giant landed on a stick that landed on Fitzhugh. Well, to the giant it'd be a stick. To Fitzhugh it's a tree. They can't move it. I only just this moment thought of digging under it to get him free so they won't think of it on the spot. Or after 3 watchings.
Maybe we can lead him away from here. Come on.
Don't leave me.
Listen.
Well, that almost worked, but they can't groan as loud as the giant can.
He must be coming too.
They'll hear him, and they find me too.
Fitzhugh's right. If we don't shut him up, they'll find all of us.
Steve goes out of frame, and by the time he comes back, the giant is quiet. How did he do it?
Oh, my head. What you got in your mouth, all right?
How did he do it? He gave him a pacifier. I hope I don't have to introduce Alan Hale. Anyone who doesn't recognize him has no business calling themselves a fan of old shows. He knocked around doing character parts for a long time before he became a household word as the skipper on Gilligan's Island. After the show folded, he went back to what he had been doing, character parts for shows of all kinds. He was as much at home in drama as he was in comedy. When Bob Denver teamed up with Herb Edelman in a sitcom called The Good Guys, Alan Hale made several guest appearances as a long-haul truck driver and gave memorable performances. He also learned that there's often a price to be paid for doing your job too well. He became so closely identified with the skipper that people, and especially studios, had a hard time thinking of him in any other terms. Basically the same thing that happened to Burt Ward after Batman. There were several attempts to revive Gilligan's Island, make sequel series, return to blah blah blah, and those only serve to reinforce the typecasting. When that happens, an actor has 2 choices: drop out like Burt Ward did, or embrace it and run with it. Alan Hale did the latter. Eventually, in public appearances, you almost never saw him without the skipper's hat, and he went through several. When he wore one out, he'd donate it to a charity to sell. He decided he liked this little slice of immortality, and you can't blame him. Guys will go on from now until doomsday about Ginger or Mary Ann, as if that's even a question, but the skipper was easily the most beloved character on the show. We liked the way he doted on Gilligan, even though he knew his little buddy was a disaster on 2 legs. He regularly put his leadership skills to work, holding the group together and making sure they all pulled the oars in the same direction. Why shouldn't you embrace fame like that? We lost him to Satan's creation at the age of 68. He should have gotten more time. But what he did leave us endures to this day and is likely to endure for at least another 100 years or so.
Well, we'll never flush him out of these woods at night. But don't worry. I know what he looks like. Well, we'd better get back to that store and turn in a report, huh?
Something about the way he said that doesn't inspire confidence. But let's not worry about that right now. We need to get Fitzhugh loose without this guy noticing.
All right. Are you seeing things? May the saints preserve you.
On the other hand, it seems he's more afraid of them than they are of him. Fitzhugh is an opportunist after my own heart. He orders the giant down on his knees.
Yes, sir, your elegance. Whatever you wish.
Elegance?
Of course. Why, that poor cloud thinks that we're the original little folk. That we're leprechauns.
I'm not going to go into background about leprechauns and all that. I'm more interested in the amazing parallels between this world and Earth. Not only does the giant planet have leprechaun stories, it even has drunken Irishmen to spread the stories. Steve orders him to turn his back, close his eyes, and count to 1,000. O'Reilly isn't sure he can count that high, but he'll do his best. As soon as he's started, they melt into the foliage and make their way back to camp.
That's what he called me.
Your elegance? He called you your elegance?
Of course. A slight exaggeration, of course.
He sounds fabulous. It's like a magic genie out of a bottle.
Speaking of magic, I can't help noticing that Betty isn't pregnant anymore. I went all over the net trying to find information about her children and when they were born and found zilch. But maybe she'll get to do more now. We can only hope.
How'd you get here so fast?
Oh, nothing to it, Captain. There's a bit of ingenuity, that's all.
A bit of ingenuity that Steve isn't going to like even a little bit.
He rode.
You mean to say that you went back to O'Reilly?
Oh, just a minute. Of course I went
and
back.
you had him carry you?
And he carried me as gently as a baby.
Now, why didn't I think of that?
Wait a minute, Val. You mean you let a giant know where we're camped?
Of course not. He had O'Reilly put him down some distance away and then told him to go home. But he did arrange a future meeting. This is the opportunity they've been needing.
A giant creature that believes that we are leprechauns. He'll do anything we'll tell him, give us anything we need, as long as we instruct him how to do it. Well,
I think he makes sense.
I agree, because if O'Reilly thinks we're leprechauns...
I don't care what he thinks. No, O'Reilly's a criminal. He's being hunted down as a thief.
he told me he's not a thief, and I believe him.
That's one thing I would trust Fitzhugh's judgment on.
Thieves are a lot like the vampires in Buffy and Angel. They recognize each other.
Yeah, well, thief or not, those store protection people are still looking for him.
That's right. Just as soon as it's light, they'll be combing every inch of these woods.
But my idea, let me show you.
I had it with your ideas. You understand that?
The others are inclined to agree that Fitzhugh's idea could work and Steve is being unreasonable, but the discussion is over.
Nice try, Fitzhugh.
You know, Fitzhugh, for as long as I've known you, this time I've a hunch you're right.
Unfortunately, Steve has a good head of anger going, and there's no point trying to talk to him right now.
What are you doing here?
I came to try and keep you out of trouble.
Thank you, Barry. Come along.
You didn't think that was the end of it, did you?
I'm afraid our man O'Reilly did obey me in every detail. We have to rough it.
It's beer.
Fitzhugh told him to get champagne and cognac, but I'm not sure where he thinks O'Reilly would get the money for that, or what makes him think O'Reilly could spell either of them. And it was nice of both of them to leave Barry out.
Barry? How is this?
It's good to see Fitzhugh back on track. A couple of episodes ago, I talked about how he had regressed almost to first episode quality. Here, we're seeing the Alexander Fitzhugh of the middle of the second season. He's still wrapped up in himself, but he has a good-sized opening in the wrapper for the others, and especially Barry. He thinks about them. His ideas about O'Reilly are as unselfish as anything we've ever seen him do. Their man can get them what they need to repair the ship, and everybody can go home. Not just him, everybody. This Fitzhugh would have looked at that space pod and been tempted, but ultimately he would have said no, or at most he would have insisted that Barry go with him. This is the Fitzhugh that we've been building for a year and a half, so welcome back. I apologize for not having a better celebration prepared.
If I knew you were coming, I'd have baked a cake.
Uh-huh. So that's what you're up to, huh?
Mark, don't you know better than to startle a couple of dedicated barflies?
I would have invited you. I will invite all of you. If you're a vicious, self-righteous leader haven't told me that...
Look, I think Steve was a little rough on you. But he's right, you know. It's dangerous playing around with a giant.
Fitzhugh says, look, first, he's not a criminal. He's from the country, he just arrived in town, and he has no idea why those guys were chasing him. Why did he run? Because that clown fired his gun, duh. Second, he's their willing slave. He's delighted to serve the leprechauns. Mark says, the only way to convince Steve is for O'Reilly to prove himself. Have him get us something to fix the ship that we haven't been able to get.
All right, I'm building a secondary power system, and I need 6 3-foot steel rods for pistons.
6 3-foot steel rods.
Is that 3 feet by our measurement or O'Reilly's? He says they have to be identical. For the group, it's pretty well impossible to find such items. Not for O'Reilly.
Look, mister, what I'm looking for needles, darning needles.
Well, why
They gotta be 3 inches long.
Why didn't you say so? We've got them around here someplace. Let me take a look.
Your basic pack of sewing needles will do nicely. They're stainless steel, the right length, and absolutely identical as Mark demanded. The vendor has an 8-pack, so that's perfect. There's just one little obstacle.
And that will be 4 bits. 4 bits.
All right, 4 bits.
The problem is he doesn't have 4 bits. What the heck is a 4 bits? Well, it would seem that the history of money on this planet is exactly the same as on Earth, one of those amazing parallels again. In the glory days of piracy, the Spanish divided their currency, known as a real, into 8 parts because all members of the Spanish royalty were missing 2 fingers. When it's Talk Like a Pirate Day and people talk about pieces of 8, that's what they're talking about, Spanish coins. 1/8 of a real came to be called a bit. A doubloon was worth 2, hence the word double in its name. When Europeans stole the North American continent from the people who were already here, the currency system they created was kind of a slumgullion stew of British and Spanish terms. British money used base 10 because they counted their toes instead of their fingers, but many early Americans continued to use the Spanish designation and talk about bits. Thing was, the dollar was now divided into 100 parts, so if we only had 8 bits to a dollar, that meant 1 bit was worth 12.5 cents. That got weird. So the practice became talking only in even numbers, 2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits, better known as a quarter, 50 cents, and 75 cents. Keep in mind that this is 1968, and most people my parents' age still talk like that. I'm 15 at the time, and it just sounds weird to me. My friends and I don't use those terms, which means today even most people my age quit using them a long time ago. Really, the most effective use of the expression I've ever seen was by Judd Fry in Oklahoma. If you don't know what I mean, go watch the Hugh Jackman version and find out. That whole cast knocked it out of the park. Digression complete. O'Reilly doesn't have 4 bits, which is a problem. Fitzhugh is in his pocket, giving him instructions.
Hey, look what I found in your pocket. Reach your fingers to the flap. Hurry!
A miracle, surely.
Not a miracle, a typical situation that he should have already known about. If you're just in from the country and you've been wearing those clothes for a while, always check the bottoms of your pockets. They're a lot like couch cushions. Exchange the 4 bits for the needles and it's mission accomplished.
Here, what are you doing?
Come on. You're going no place.
What is wrong?
You're coming with me.
O'Reilly could probably fight him and win, but he's too nice a guy to think of that. Plus, he still has no idea what's going on, who this guy is, or what his problem is.
Here? You're bringing me to a place like this?
But of course, man. Come on, step up. Wet your whistle. Harry, some service, please. 2 drinks here.
2 drinks, Mr. Crinkle.
There's one big difference between this planet and Earth. Their jails are way more progressive.
You see, there was a robbery in one of our shops last night. The watchman made a mistake. Chased after the wrong man, that's all. You shouldn't have started to run like that.
Cranko is the head of that private security company. Best I can gather, Harry the bartender and a couple of other guys work for him. O'Reilly says, I was standing there minding my own business and the guy started yelling and shooting. Kindly explain to me what you would do in that situation.
And it wasn't any amateur like you that got away with 14 sets of sterling silver, not to mention 2 television sets, was it?
If he did, please show me where he put them.
You've lifted the clouds, sir. Good health.
How about another one?
Help yourselves, gentlemen.
Well, one is my limit, but if you insist, sir.
You might notice that Krenko isn't drinking.
I was running and praying all at the same time. And there you were, running after me, shooting at me, trying to hit me with a bullet.
Oh, no, not to hit you, just to stop you.
The fact that the best way to stop you with a bullet is to hit you with it is completely beside the point.
All of a sudden, I'm in the woods, in the pitch-black woods, and being chased by you, and I trip and I fall. Well, I scarcely knew where I was, like all my brains were scrambled. And I think I'm hearing little sounds. And you'll scarce believe what I'll tell you next. The fact is, I thought I was seeing things.
Fitzhugh starts scrambling around in the pocket and thumping O'Reilly's chest, and he shuts up just in time. It's time to get out of there. He's drunk enough.
What's the idea? I thought you brought him in here so we could plant the sterling silver on him, then blow the whistle.
Krenko gives him a little bottle of cognac for the road, which Fitzhugh will hold, because he has no choice.
Home, James, and don't spare the horses.
Now we know what it takes to get Fitzhugh to keep his eyes on the prize.
I know what I'm doing, all right. The police would never buy a country bumpkin like O'Reilly anyway. But just you watch. I'll get us some real fall guys. Ones we can even collect a reward for.
Like who?
Little people.
Oh, have fun with that. First, explain to me how they moved the TV sets and where they put them, not to mention why. Then tell me why they would steal a bunch of sterling silver. What do they intend to do with it? Sell it for money? They have no use for money. They also have no use for forks and spoons as big as they are. I want to be there for that trial.
Well, hello there. Top of the afternoon to every little one of you.
Aha, gentlemen, I hope you brought your canteens. Valerie, you do the honor. Mark, did you say anything about needles? There they are. High-grade steel. Courtesy of Mr. O'Reilly.
Fitzhugh, I apologize.
Oh, not necessary.
Even Steve can't stay angry in the presence of needles and cognac. O'Reilly is off to continue being a happy drunk while the crew gather up their booze and needles and head back to camp. And then there's that guy. Some people can't stand seeing someone else happy.
What Mark needs next is some fine wire.
And not to mention drills and precious metals and any precision tools we can find.
Yeah, but we're in giant land, and we get those things small enough for us to use.
Too bad we can't look it up in the yellow pages.
They can't, but O'Reilly can, and he does. They decide to look for a jeweler's shop where there should be tools small enough for them to work with. O'Reilly tears part of a page out of the yellow pages in a phone booth and gives it to Fitzhugh. Fitzhugh mistook it for a blanket and curled up and went to sleep. O'Reilly had to remind him that paper blankets weren't a thing. Moments later, Krenko examines the book and sorts out what O'Reilly was after. They settle on a watch repair shop that works by appointment only. At night it should be nice and quiet and empty. It's also within easy reach, especially if they can ride in style.
Your Elegance, which shall it be, a lady's shoebox or a man's?
Who cares? Be sure it's a strong one.
Tell them not to forget the string.
Oh, don't worry. I'll not forget.
A good sturdy shoebox coach will do nicely, Smedley. Do be a good chap and have it brought around. At Steve's suggestion, Fitzhugh left a radio in O'Reilly's pocket so they can talk whenever they want.
Why, Mr. Krenko. Fancy meeting the likes of you in a trash can. Well, I was just looking for a bit of string.
To, tie up an empty box?
Well, you can never tell when a fine box like this might come in handy.
He's not wrong, especially if he lives out in the country, maybe on a farm. It's amazing how many uses you can find for a simple box that's the right size and strength. I doubt Krenko would know anything about that. My keen scientific instincts are telling me manual labor isn't his thing.
How much you want?
Oh, here, give him the whole thing. An old customer like O'Reilly.
Please, sir, thank you very much for the string. Now, put it in this pocket.
What's the matter? Got a hole in this one?
If I'm O'Reilly, by this time Krenko is screaming because I took that finger and tried to make it touch the back of his hand. Krenko pulls out the radio.
What's that?
Well, you'll be careful of it, won't you, Mr. Krenko? That's me new stick pin. Isn't it a lovely little piece to put on a necktie? I found it with the rest of the trash.
In the next scan, he was hoping to find a necktie to put it on.
He made it. He got out without touching a drop.
I think this Krenko's out of our way for a while.
He's going to a ball game.
No, he isn't. He invited O'Reilly to a ball game, but he was testing to see if O'Reilly already had something planned, and he got his answer. They still don't know which shop O'Reilly is going to hit. Since Krenko is a known security guy, he'll call all of them and alert their night watchman. The shop they're after is on the first floor of an office building. O'Reilly already snuck inside. Now he's hiding in some plants while the watchman locks up and heads to his office. Once he's there, O'Reilly slips into the hallway where the jeweler's shop is.
Hello, Mr. Krenko. That big guy you told me about. He's inside the building now.
O'Reilly needs to go back to Sam Fisher sneaky school before he tries this again.
Sorry? Are you looking for me? No, sir. No, sir. I just stopped for a moment to tie my shoelace. I didn't mean to startle you. Oh, here, did you drop something? No, it's just an empty shoebox.
A little work to unlock the door and let O'Reilly in, and it's time to go to work. Too bad Mr. Cunningham the jeweler forgot something and has to go back. Suddenly, he needs one other item out of that desk.
I know you're in here. Saw you with that shoebox in the hall a couple of minutes ago. Now you come out of there or I'll fire.
Look out!
Who's that? Where are you? Get him, O'Reilly! Get him! Oh!
He's just knocked out, but O'Reilly is freaking. Not only are they telling him to steal things from this nice man, now they've made him hurt the gentleman. Leprechauns or no, he's out of here.
Stop! You better stop, O'Reilly. Or I'll put the curse of the leprechauns on you.
I don't care. I'm going. Did you not see the worst thing I've put on myself already?
Look, he's all right. He's just knocked out. We'll call a doctor the minute we get out of here. Now, why don't you, put him in that other room?
I give him credit for trying, but he's too used to taking orders. I think I'd enjoy an episode explaining how he got that way. But there's something else. That glass case they smashed was wired. Breaking the glass set off a silent alarm at the police station.
Please, sirs, will you tell me what's right and what's wrong? Will you tell me who to listen to? The little people or the big ones?
He's driven by a strong sense of right and wrong, but he's also been told that leprechauns are good people. But these leprechauns are making him steal and hurt people, and how can that be good? O'Reilly is quite simply too good for the world he finds himself in. At least he's too good for the city part of it. We don't know anything about his neck of the woods.
O'Reilly, listen. I promise you we're not going to steal this. And I hope this doesn't come as a great big shock to you, but I'm not a leprechaun. I couldn't put a curse on you in a million years.
He says, but we are in a bit of trouble and we really need your help with this stuff. O'Reilly doesn't follow any of it, but what the hey, he's in it this far, may as well see it through.
Come in, Fitz. Please, come in. Nothing. What's going on in there anyway?
Well, at least the light's gone out now.
What was that crash a minute ago? I wish I'd get back on the radio. I'd feel a lot better.
Steve left Betty and Valerie in the alley to be lookouts, but they're not going to be very effective if nobody's listening to the radio. And somebody had better answer soon, because here comes Krenko.
Yeah, okay, that's far enough. Now you get the box through the bars, can't you?
Sure, and there's enough room, sir.
And that solves the final mystery in Steve's plan. The string is so he can lower the box down to the ground slowly. Keep in mind there's a good chance he didn't tell Mark or Dan or anyone else what it was for, so this is a big reveal for everybody.
Hey, we're not loaded yet.
Yeah, there are all kinds of things up here. Look at this cord. It's some kind of pliable plastic. There's lots of it. It's stronger than steel. Here, take a look at it.
Last I heard you're in a big hurry, so it might be more expedient to throw it in the box now and look at it later. He has Dan and Mark get in the box. As for Steve and Fitzhugh, Steve says, we got O'Reilly into this, it's up to us to get him out of it. And somebody's going to have to. Right now, he's so confused he couldn't find his way out of his own socks.
All right. Don't move. I've got you trapped.
Run, sirs! Run! You can double-cross it!
Oh, they're running, but they only ran as far as the hall, and they took that super strong cord stuff with them.
O'Reilly, did you get him? You all right?
Where are you?
Uh-oh. I think Krenko came out on top.
It's possible. I think you'll find the answer somewhere in that lump on O'Reilly's jaw.
Okay. Come on, let's go out the front way. Hold it tight.
Ouch! Krenko landed right on his head. Well, at least he didn't land on anything important. The police sirens are getting close. Time to go.
They're in there. We've trapped the little people.
My man, you didn't even trap that one big people. The little people have the tools and materials they needed, and O'Reilly is going home. He's seen enough of this place for one lifetime. Now, here's the essence of our ending.
You know, he's a great guy. Too bad we had to spoil his faith in leprechauns.
Pardon me, Irwin, but that's a throwaway ending. You want to give me something memorable. Show me what went down when that guard and the police didn't find anybody in that broken-in place except Krenko. Show me the subsequent search of his properties and the discovery of the stolen items. Show me his comeuppance with O'Reilly standing just around a corner, watching the whole thing and having that laugh we saw. Wrap up the loose ends. I suspected this was a St. Patrick's Day episode since we had a nice giant Irishman who's a borderline alcoholic. It aired a few days after Christmas, so there goes that theory. But let's get down to basics. This was purely for fun. The goal of this episode was to let Alan Hale take the character and run with him. And oh my, did he. I can't find any flaws in his accent for one thing. The expressions of awe, reverence, confused obedience. He turned himself loose and created what may be my favorite character of the series so far. Krenko was okay. He was believable for the most part, but at least for me, the slime on him was a little too obvious. I couldn't help wondering why someone even as naive as O'Reilly couldn't see it because he practically wore it on his forehead. The actor's name was Alan Bergman, and I've been able to find the sum total of nothing about him. He was another character actor, and he did his job well. I just wasn't crazy about the character. He needs to take lessons in sleaze subtlety from Fitzhugh, but I doubt he can afford Fitzhugh's fees. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please click the thumbs up. It really does help the channel. If you're not subscribed yet, the button looks something like this. So click it and join our little family. There's a bell there that may or may not actually work to give you notifications when we post something, but it can't hurt to click it just in case. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Well, to the giant, it'd be a stick to pick up. It seems he's more afraid of them than they... Speaking of magic, I can't help noticing that Betty isn't pregnant anymore. Have him getting something... When it's talk about crap. Fitzhugh mistook it for a blanket and immediately... Slow down. And who asked you?